Who do you think is the shadiest billionaire that most people have never heard of? There's a lot of competition for that title. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and put my nomination out for Ken Griffin. Ken Griffin is famous for getting absolutely railed by this guy and for building the most expensive house in the world. We're gonna go over all of his real estate holdings in this video, and it's extensive. But real quick, why this guy matters to everyone is he runs Citadel Securities, which is the largest market maker in the United States. Meaning if you trade stocks, 1/3 of stock trades actually go through Citadel Securities, not the New York Stock Exchange. Oh yeah, and he also runs one of the biggest hedge funds in the United States that trades against your trades that his firm executes. But don't worry, the two would never communicate, and they're totally separate, and they totally don't cheat by collaborating. For real, they don't cheat. This data is according to Bloomberg. You can't quite see down here, but 20% of trades go to the New York Stock Exchange and 16% go to the NASDAQ. That's where like I want to buy something and someone's selling it and we meet at a price that's like, you know, what we both agree to pay and sell. But if you trade on an app like Robinhood, for example, they just sell your trades to Citadel, and Citadel just decides what price the trade is worth within their little private pools, and it's totally fair and it's all good. Don't worry about it. Citadel pays Robinhood for the opportunity to have your trades inside of their totally legitimate business operation. And since they pay to get your order flow from people like Robinhood, I'm sure they don't make any money off of that investment. They just do it for your own good. Anyways, enough of that. Let's get on to the fun stuff. Ken Griffin's been making waves in Florida because he's been buying up a bunch of the biggest properties around, all right next to each other, and turning them into a giant mega lot, trying to make the first $1 billion property in the world, $1 billion residential property. A lot of these billionaires are into like really dark shit that we aren't allowed to talk about on most social media platforms that involve, you know, like children. And like, I don't know what Ken Griffin's into, but one thing I do know that he's definitely into is his own ego. Like, more so than almost any other billionaire, all of Ken Griffin's movements seem to be guided by him wanting to be the most important person in the world. Hence this. Yes, if you zoom in on that photo, you'll notice the giant construction site. This is where he demolished multiple multi-million-dollar mansions that were already on the property because he wanted bigger mansions on the property. But obviously he needs more than just those houses in Florida. He also bought Adrian Ars's 2 bayfront houses in the Coconut Grove for $106.9 million. Also bought this house in Casa Apava in Palm Beach for $54.6 million. Honestly, like he has so many houses that I might accidentally double sum up or miss a few because like it's kind of hard to track down how many houses this guy has, if you can call this a house. Let's not ask questions about what's happening in all of these houses all around the world that he owns that he's not occupying. Because sure, a bunch of houses in Palm Beach is cool, but like Star Island is far more prestigious. It's the most exclusive real estate in all of Miami. And so in true Griffin style, he went and snapped up multiple neighboring homes on the artificial island. He bought homes number 8 through 14 for $170 million over a few years because he needed all those houses on this island. But if that's not enough for a claim to fame, he also previously bought already the most expensive house or home ever purchased in the United States at the top of this tower, not compensating for anything. He bought fully 4 unfurnished floors for $238 million, breaking the record for the most expensive home ever sold in the United States. Clarify, the dude does not live in New York. He just wanted the tip, like just the tip. If you think about it, it sounds like kind of a raw deal. Like how long is that elevator ride? Like, what the fuck, man? But Kenny recently was living in Chicago before he moved to Florida. In 2018, he splashed out $58.5 million on a Gold Coast condo, once again breaking the record for the largest house sale in that city ever. He also paid $45 million for the top 4 floors at 9 West Walton Street in Chicago. This dude's got something about owning the tips of tall towers. I don't know what's up with that. But obviously he also needs vacation homes. So he's got one in Aspen, Colorado that cost him $9.4 million. And he also invests in Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney. We'll have another video about his friendly relationship with Mitt Romney and a few other characters. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But he obviously also needs a few houses in Hawaii. $10 million for one, $13 million for the other. The $10 million one has its own golf course. Like, cool, think about how much water they're taking from the local communities to water his private golf course. But it gets worse. Because when this documentary was coming out this year, Ken Griffin raised a big stink about it. complaining that it was overrepresenting his golf habits, because he's like not even like that kind of rich guy. He's like, he works hard and he doesn't even play golf. Quote, the idea that Ken always wants to be on the golf course, when in actuality, that is one of the last places you would find him. He plays golf once a year, end quote. And in the end, the movie went with the scene of him playing tennis while they talked about how evil they were instead of playing golf. So to clarify, this is just to show off to his buddies. He doesn't actually play golf. Oh yeah, I missed this one. In 2020, he paid $84 million for Calvin Klein's old house in the Hamptons. Holy shit, I almost forgot. Buckingham Palace. In 2019, he dropped $122 million on this giant mansion right beside Buckingham Palace. But like, to be fair, we should look up to people like Ken Griffin, who like bootstrapped his way to the top with hard work in his dorm room in college, like starting this business that like he is really fond of telling the story about. He came from a family that like didn't even have that much, where like his grandmother only inherited an oil business and 3 farms and a whole seed business. And he got into Harvard because he was such a hard worker. So like, to be fair, he is a hard worker. And then his grandma would only give him $100,000 at age 17 to start his first investment business. And then he called all of his rich friends and started it with $260,000. So like, we should all honestly be looking up to this guy that worked so hard to get to where he is today. Because like, that's really the American dream, to have a grandma that inherits an oil business and a bunch of other things and sends you to Harvard with a whole bunch of money to make more money off of your money. Because once you make all that money off of your money, then you can do things like support really high quality politicians to do good things for the world that have nothing to do with your personal interests. And it's a good thing that this guy is so involved in like the regulatory process, and like that his 2 self-regulating organizations, his hedge fund and his market maker, are so integral to the markets functioning efficiently and effectively and fairly for everyone. Because without experts like him helping advise the people that make the rules, how would they even know what kind of rules to make to benefit all the good guys in the market like Ken Griffin? I mean, he's like best positioned to know because he's on both sides of the trade. He's making the market and trading the market, and that's the kind of guy we need. I just hope that one day I can live up to even a fraction of the man that Ken Griffin is. And maybe I too can one day have a tower as long and girthy and strong. I mean tall, not long. Tall as Ken Griffin's tower.
And that markets are efficient because of active managers setting the prices of securities. Firms like Citadel setting the prices of securities. We're all running large teams of people that are engaged in fundamental research, trying to drive the value of companies towards where we think they should be valued.